They dwell upon our core values as a city, as a culture. They are unique to Vancouver, they're created here, nurtured here, and then go global. Try to come up with a list of 5 memes like this for any other Canadian city. I defy you, I couldn't do it. Find 5 global ideas like these that have shaped things elsewhere. So briefly, just for sake of time, I'm going to truncate this and just go through the 5 the last 40 years. Back to Greenpeace. There were environmental organizations before Greenpeace, the Sierra Club and so on existed. Greenpeace really, in many ways, started as a peace organization. I was a high school student in Edmonton. I took part in a march against the Anchipka cruise missile tests, etc. And then those campaigns were united with Save the Whale and other campaigns. So you have peace on the one side, pacifist essence, and then green. And also even the name, Greenpeace, the contraction of the 2 words, is now so common, we think of it as universal. Back in the early 70s, this was a breakthrough conception to weld pacifist values with an activist environmental organization. That idea went so global that as world headquarters left Vancouver, moved to Amsterdam, largely for financial reasons. Cyberspace. Again, a word that we now think of as being eternally present, etc. It's a neologism invented by a Vancouver-based science fiction writer, and I think one of our city's most interesting thinkers, William Gibson. It started off in a short story called Burning Chrome in 1982, but most famously, it was used throughout this novel, Neuromancer. Now, the interesting thing that William Gibson did not invent the internet any more than Al Gore did, but what William Gibson did perceive and understand was that this environment of information would shape us. We would become different by virtue of existing in an environment of constantly available information. And the book, in many ways, is a speculation on what that means. You can't read the fine print, but key phrase, the cyberspace, a consensual hallucination experienced daily by billions of legitimate operators in every nation, so on. So, cyberspace, an idea born in Vancouver by a creative thinker who chose to live here, left the United States because the Vietnam War, came here, and has shaped our language of the digital environment. There's Bill Gibson near his home in Point Grey, and he writes beautifully, by the way, about Vancouver and why he chooses to live here. Next one, Generation X. Douglas Copeland was very, very briefly my student at Emily Carr, and I've known him for a long, long time before he wrote the book. It's one of those handles, one of those phrases, again, filled the gap. He was always interested in design and culture and change, etc. Worshipped Andy Warhol as a student, etc. And Generation X has gone on globally now to name an entire generation, probably 2. Generation Y seems to be filling the next gap. So, a Vancouver-generated global meme. Here's an example of, unfortunately, what I would call meme art. This is Douglas Copeland designed public art piece down by the Convention Center. I think it's a bit of a one-liner. Sometimes memes are that. Memes are so simplified for transmission, they have no content. This is kind of the Lego, digitized, pixelated orca jumping out of the plaza. A lot of Doug's work these days is public art. Behind it are 2 towers by one of this afternoon's speakers, Jim Chang, Shot Tower on the right, Fairmont Pacific Rim on the left. Which leads me to the next meme. Vancouverism, I would argue, is itself a meme. It was not invented by a writer. It was invented collectively in the mass mind, probably internet-based. No one can figure out who invented it. It started to appear in the United States in the about 12, 13 years ago. Planners and architects, American architects, would talk about Vancouverizing the city. By that, they meant increased density, an amenity with that density to make it livable. So Vancouverize, the verb, morphed into Vancouverism, the ideology. There's only 2 cities in North America that are ism, Manhattanism, Vancouverism. It would be impossible to do a Torontism Because Toronto does many things. In fact, it's not necessarily a compliment. Memes are not necessarily always positive. Toronto does many good city building things. We do a few things well, maybe too few, and we talk about that later. So Vancouverism was the name I gave to my exhibition about city building in Vancouver in the last couple of decades. It opened in London, involved models, videos, artifacts from buildings, etc. And then, very interestingly, I rejigged the show for the Vancouver audience. Courtesy of West Bank, I got to use the Woodward's atrium as the first location. I will not pause for a definition of Vancouverism, but it was there on that slide. This is the show installed. Our installation design very carefully left gaps. It was a two-sided table of the models. And the idea is you would very consciously see other people on the other side of the table. They were bringing the people into the architecture, into the city, and talking about the human component of Vancouverism. And just another view of the installation in Woodward's Vancouverism show. Global meme. This meme has spread around the world to other cities, unmediated by editors in New York, London, unmediated by Harvard or Stanford. We're in a new world where ideas spread globally quickly without the gatekeepers that used to exist. This is the Dubai Marina Project, Dubai, which is not kind of, sort of like Vancouver. It is directly cloned from Vancouver by Vancouver-based urban designers, marketers, and so on. First phase of Dubai Marina, there is a seawall in Dubai. And those are exactly, and by the way, it's a much better seawall, better restaurants, more of them, more fun, more diverse people. The copy has eclipsed the original. And this is an out-of-date photo, about 5, 6 years old, but showing the false creek, or as I call it, very false creek, the artificial water body constructed in the desert around which Tower on Podium, Vancouver-style towers have been built. So a meme that goes from being collectively invented, 2001, to, by the end of that same decade, being built in another part of the world. Finally, Occupy. Again, it's a great story. Kali Lasson, born in Estonia, grows up in Australia, studies there, goes to Japan, works as an ad man for a while, marries a Japanese wife. Where do you live after all that? He chose Vancouver. Came here, worked as a documentary film producer, and founded the magazine Adbusters. Occupy was invented. The date was July 13th last year. Posting that Adbusters site said, are you ready for a Tahrir moment for Tahrir Square, the Arab Spring? Setting the date, September 17th. Read that posting. It's the whole template, the whole idea of Occupy was invented here. Now, and this is the Vancouver version from the art gallery. Quite a wonderful. Now, memes can be shallow, one note, etc. Will there be substance to Occupy? Is it really comparable to Greenpeace? We don't know yet. I might be a little skeptical about that. However, we're in a world which functions and uses memes as ways to build cities, amongst other things. I'll pass on this just to go to a kind of closing couple of remarks. In my view, the density dialogue in Vancouver is failing, and unnecessarily so. I think that the construction, the quite brilliant construction of eco-density was good in its time, and it was rolled out with passion by Brent, etc. But the last few years, with the STIR debate, with the Rise Tower debate, etc., the whole discourse has changed. And I do think that what's been missing is we haven't been invoking a positive agenda, a positive message about how we live in cities. For example, cities are safer for women at high densities. We have to go back and build a positive agenda for density and get a little bit away from the urban geographers and the ecological arguments that have driven the debate so far. So you could take meme plus echo plus density, and you could do Mameco density. That sounded like a nickel plating process for your automobile. So here we are, true to the meme world, the memicity of contemporary life, I give you today a new word, a meta-meme, a meme about meme. Propose the word memicity, which is the condition of generating and growing viral-like cultural ideas or memes. Also, meme city, a city conducive to memes, originally Vancouver. Point today. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are quite a bit behind, so we were going to try a panel. I think we're going to not have that at this point. We might try to integrate it into the afternoon, but you have lunch, and we're going to allow for an hour. So, if you could come back at about 1:30. Thank you very much.